Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Just 6 months ago, Stephen Flynn was riding high. He was the leader of the Westminster group of the SNP, a cohort of 49 MPs. He got to ask questions at every Prime Minister's question time. He had media chasing him for his opinion. His profile was high. And of course, he was being touted as the saviour, the next leader of the SNP. All he had to do was get to Holyrood. And of course, that's where his ambitions lay. He wants to be Holyrood. He wants to be leader. And they say if a week is a long time in politics, then 6 months is an absolute age. Well, we are here 6 months later. That cohort of 49 is just 9. He's no longer being touted as leader because of his actions. It was seen as greedy, shameful. He was repelled. He's lost a lot of support within his own party. People didn't like the fact that he was going after one of his own party members to take her seat, especially being a woman. And it was also seen as being the shadiest way of going around doing it, rather than actually declaring it and saying he was willing to give up his seat at Westminster to go to Holyrood. It was almost as though he don't want to let go of this until I manage to get a grip on the other one. I can understand it from an employment point of view. We all do. You don't leave your old job until you've got a new job to go to. But you can't do both jobs at once. So you've got to make that perfectly clear. He wanted to. And not just him, others as well. Stephen Gethin, for example, Dave Dugan. But it's now made clear that, no, you can't. You have to do one job. You represent one constituency. That's it. And so from being a high flyer, he's now seen as a has-been. And all in a very, very short period of time. And what's worse, he's done it to himself. He's lost power, he's lost face, and he's destroyed his own chances, I think. No longer is he going to be touted as the prospective leader. And the trouble for the SNP, of course, is they have very few others that are capable of the job. And the one that really is, well, a lot of them don't want her. Poor Kate Forbes. But here we are, 6 months on. What's a man to do? Well, he's decided that he's going to pitch in and go a different route. And so he's gone to Northern Ireland. And he's cozying up to Sinn Féin IRA. And he's being seen with and hugging and kissing and making jolly with a party that is the political wing of a bunch of terrorist murderers. I would expect no less, of course. Michelle O'Neill, who is the leader of Sinn Féin in Northern Ireland, who's, I believe she's also the First Minister now. And she is, and to be fair to Michelle O'Neill, because in all things fairness, she is one of the very few Sinn Féin leaders that is prepared to talk properly, discuss, rather than just demand. She seems to have a little bit of give and take. That's very unusual in Sinn Féin. They're usually a very demanding organisation. Doesn't mean I agree with them. I totally disagree with them with behest of every ounce of my being. But she doesn't come across as an entirely awful woman. Just terrible politics, put it that way. But he is cozying up and making, pitching woo to Sinn Féin, IRA. Now, I don't know whether this is so that he can then go back to the SNP and say, look, I'm forging allegiances with another party that wants to break up the UK. But there's other ways of doing it rather than what you're actually saying is I'm cozying up to a party that represents murderers. It's shocking, and I think there'll be a lot of people that don't like it. And not SNP, of course, they're all for it. They're very sectarian. As an aside, and people who don't know Scotland, and I know I've got a lot of viewers who aren't Scottish, so just clarify something here. Scottish viewers will know this. I think everyone's aware of the troubles in Northern Ireland, the two sides, the sort of sectarianism that's there. It's eased in the last 20, 25 years perhaps, but it's still bubbling under. There's still little tensions here and there. Younger people, not so much generally, but it's still around. Let's make no bones about it. But Scotland too has this big sectarian divide. There's very, very much in evidence, particularly in Glasgow, for example. But it is all over. But there's some areas that are worse than others, and it's exemplified by the sort of the Rangers Celtic clashes, because it's not just two football teams; it's two cultures, it's two religions, and so forth. It's very, very there. So it is present, and people sometimes don't realise that. Walk in the wrong pub wearing the wrong colours, you could be in trouble. Put it that way. So anyway, that's there. So Flynn is there, and he's obviously cozying up to a side that will, I would say, shock people who aren't in the SNP, that Flynn would cosy up to Sinn Féin IRA. Now, Sinn Féin hate everything about the British. They hate the fact that Britain's got any control. They hate the history with Britain. There's all sorts of things that they hate. They're just a party of hate, as exemplified by the actions they've taken. They can't accept reality. That's a problem that they have. But, with Sinn Féin, IRA and the SNP so closely interlinked, it does represent a political danger. And I think it needs to be highlighted. And people need to be made aware of it. Don't forget that Sinn Féin IRA supported the National Socialists of Germany during the Second World War. They would often leave lights on and things, so that, rather out of the blackout, they'd leave a light on so the German planes knew, this is there, so we'll go up here to bomb Belfast and the dockyards and things like that. This happened. This has genuinely happened. And we know that the SNP based their whole entire party on the same party, the same National Socialists of Germany, very admiring of a little Austrian with his moustache. So it's no surprise that these two hate-filled organisations should get together for a big fat love-in. But, they've been meeting. They've kept it quiet. There's no mention of it on anyone's social media, but they were there. And it just seems odd that the mainstream media aren't picking up on this, given the history of these two organisations. But hey, what do you do? I think it's dangerous. I think they want to cosy up, I think, to Sinn Féin IRA in the hope that when Ireland unites, and this is a very weird thing, he wants to take Scotland out and separate, and Sinn Féin want to unite and bring together. They are diametrically opposite. But Sinn Féin just want England out of Ireland, and Scotland want England out of Scotland. Sorry, and SNP want England out of Scotland. Fact is that both of them need their neighbour. We're the biggest trading partner for both countries. But hey-ho, can't tell them that. It's common sense, isn't it? Let me know what you think. Thanks a lot. Bye.